Hey, welcome back to 65 Drums. My name's Justin. Over the years, I've gotten a lot of emails and messages where people have mentioned that an electronic drum set costs more or less depending on where you live. If you live in Canada, if you live in Turkey, if you live in Germany, like the price can shift wildly. So I want to explore that today and see how much a regular TD17KVX, a drum set a lot of people like and a lot of people buy, how much that will cost depending on what country that you live in. We're going to take a look at a lot of different websites and then do the currency exchange stuff and see how much dollar for dollar a standard drum set will cost depending on where you live. Yeah, this video was actually a little bit more complicated to make than I initially thought that it would be. But anyway, let's jump into it and see what we can find. So in the United States, a Roland TD17KVX costs $1,800. But if you live in the United States, you know that's not actually the real price. In the United States, they don't include taxes in the price until you press buy now, or if you're in the store, until you actually are at the checkout counter. We all just do the math in our heads and we have to add 15% or whatever it is, depending on where you live. But the actual real price is about $1,930 once you add in the taxes. So that's going to be the baseline for the video, and let's see how much this costs in different countries compared to that. So let's move ahead to the UK. If you buy Roland TD17KVX from like Andertons.com, it costs £1,600. By the time you do the currency exchange, that makes it about $1,975. It is a hair more expensive over in the UK, but it isn't really that much more expensive. I'd say it's just about even, just a little bit more expensive. Now let's take a look at Germany. Over in Germany, if you buy from like drumtech.com, it costs about 1,800 euros. And by the time you do the currency exchange, that ends up being about $2,010. So we actually are seeing a price creep right there. It is like almost $100 more expensive to buy it in Germany versus the United States in this case. So the next country I want to take a look at is Japan, because obviously that's where Roland is from. That's where their primary headquarters are based out of. So it's interesting to see how much Roland charges in their own country. So if we go over to Amazon and then log in under the Japan profile, it looks like they're charging about $180,400. So by the time we do the currency exchange, it ends up being about $1,687. So right now, this is the cheapest place so far to buy a Roland TD17KVX. That is drastically less expensive than if you buy it in the United States. The only unfortunate thing is I couldn't quite figure out the tax policy of Japan, so I don't know if that includes taxes or not. But any way you slice it, that is less expensive than buying it in the United States. Jumping ahead to India, over on musicstores.in, it looks like they're selling their TD17KVX for 175,000 rupees. By the time you do that currency exchange, it ends up being about $2,295. So as far as this part of the video goes, that is the most expensive place to buy a TD17KVX. Okay, so next up is Canada. I've been told a couple of times that electronic drums are just more expensive to buy if you live in Canada versus the United States. So let's put that to the test. Over here on this Canadian music store website, it looks like they're selling a TD17KVX for $2,400. And that's Canadian dollars, obviously. And for my research, it looks like in Canada, they don't add taxes to the price until you press the add to cart button, just like in the United States. So in this case, we're judging the price of $1,800 in the United States versus $2,400 in Canada. But let's put that through the currency exchange calculator and see what the price is really like. So it looks like in Canada, it's $1,763. Another thing I should probably mention is that the currency exchange changes all the time. If you take a look at like a 5-year timeline of the US dollar versus the Canadian dollar versus the pound versus euros, stuff like that, it looks like, it's always going up and down. So the actual value price that you're paying for a drum set can shift depending on what time of the year or what year that you're buying it in. Let's move ahead to Australia. On this Australian music store website, it looks like they're selling their TD17KVX for $2,687. By the time you run that through the currency exchange calculator, it looks like they're selling it for about $1,836. So really not that far off of what it costs in the United States. Let's move ahead to a completely different continent. Let's take a look at the country of South Africa and see how much a TD17KVX costs there. Over on the South African music store website, it looks like they're selling it for $33,995. By the time you run that through the calculator, it ends up costing about $1,963. Okay, so that's all well and good, but what if you live in Turkey? Well, on this website right here, I know that this is a bundle. You're getting a couple of pairs of drumsticks, you're getting a cloth of some kind, and a cable, but really, it shouldn't cost that much more than a standard stock Roland drum set. 3 drumsticks shouldn't cost that much. According to this website, it costs $25,639. by the time you change that over to dollars, if you buy this in Turkey from this website, it's going to cost you $3,741. That takes the crown for the most expensive place to buy a Roland TD17KVX, at least at this part of the video. That is a crazy dollar amount. If you bought a TD17KVX in Japan, you could buy like 2.5 of them for just one drum set over here in Turkey from this particular website. Maybe that's just a quirk of this website. Maybe there are other websites that sell it for less, but still, that is an outrageous price number. So I wouldn't want to be an electronic drummer in Turkey. But what if you lived in Dubai? How much would a Roland drum set cost over there? Well, according to musicianswarehousedubai.com, it looks like they're selling theirs for about $8,158. Running that through the calculator, it ends up being about $2,221. So it's definitely on the upper end of the different pricing that we've seen, but not quite as expensive as Turkey. All right, so let's move ahead to Argentina. Over here on this website, it looks like they're listing it for $294,782. By the time we do the currency exchange, it ends up being about $4,229. That is absolutely nuts. I thought that we had the highest price over in Turkey, but it turns out in Argentina, it is even more expensive. All right, so we've jumped through a lot of different websites really quickly, and I've already started to forget what the pricing was in some of these countries. So let's actually rank them and see how they all compare. Now, this list is kind of nuts. As you can see, in Japan, a drum set costs $1,687, and then all the way up in Argentina, which is not quite 4 times more expensive, but it's up there. It's really, really crazy how the prices can shift just depending on where you live. Now, a couple of things to mention about the different numbers that I've listed here. The first is that taxes are very confusing, and so the tax information may not be completely accurate for these numbers. Some of these countries may not include taxes in the price, and that could make these prices lower than they actually are. I've calculated the taxes for the United States and also for Canada, and most of the other countries have the taxes built into the price, but some countries do not. And sometimes a Google search isn't very helpful. They'll tell you the tax rate, but sometimes it's hard to figure out which countries actually include it in the price. And then in Japan, sometimes they include taxes in the price, according to one website I read, and then sometimes they don't. So anyway, take these numbers with a grain of salt. Also be aware that some websites might charge different amounts of money, depending on what website you buy through. But I think this is still just really, really interesting. I found doing the research for this video fascinating, just how wildly one drum set that is identical, how it can shift in price by the time you do all the currency exchange stuff. I'm thankful that I live in a country where I'm not in the top 5 as far as the pricing goes. It's a little bit less expensive in the United States. But regardless, I still do think that even if you bought a TD17KVX in Japan, I still think it's expensive. I feel like the TD17KVX should be closer to $1,500, maybe even slightly less than that. I think the whole electronic drum market needs to come down a tad. But yeah, I found this video very, very interesting. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. I really appreciate it. Have an amazing day, and I'll see you guys in a few.